Oh man, just look at the scenery here in Zion Canyon. Features like the Great White Throne, Observation Point, Angel's Landing, the Zion Narrows, oh, I get it. Yeah, you couldn't score a permit to go up Angel's Landing with that new rec.gov system, huh? And the Observation Point Trail? Well, the Park Service hasn't even begun to repair that from a landslide that occurred a couple years ago. Who knows if they ever will? Don't fear, my friends. There are other hiking options here in Zion Canyon, such as where we are today on the summit of Lady Mountain. Now, before we go any further, you must be aware that this is an extreme hike, experts only. There are sections of exposure, route finding difficulties, and fifth-class climbing moves on this one. So if you thought Angel's Landing was sketchy, you won't want anything to do with Lady Mountain. However, if you go up Angel's Landing, you don't even need to touch the chains. No problem with that exposure stuff. Well, Lady Mountain might be right up your alley. So cruise along with me as we go from the canyon floor right to the summit of Lady Mountain here in Zion Canyon. All right, friends, welcome back to Park Junkie. Todd C. here today in the place to be, Zion National Park on top of Lady Mountain. We're going to come straight up the face of this mountain from the Zion Lodge far below. You can see it right there. We're coming straight up this wall, but our journey is going to begin today down in Springdale, Utah. We're going to grab an e-bike down there. We're going to get on the bike and use it to procure our transportation up canyon. And that way we don't even have to deal with that shuttle system. You can stop wherever you want along the way and zip right up canyon without even exerting any effort. So that's a cool option. I can kind of recommend it. I'm a fan of it. So without any further ado, let's get on the bike and let's get started and roll up canyon. And we'll be here at the summit of Lady Mountain in no time. So let's go. All right, we've just exited the Paw Roost Trail, moving up canyon. Now, there used to be a shuttle stop right there. Still got one going down canyon back there, but the up canyon shuttle is closed for some reason now. Apparently safety concerns. However, if you want to get away from the crowds, just get a bike and head up canyon on the bicycle. It's really the way to go, in my opinion, no doubt about that. So we have locked the bike up now. It's time to head right up this mountain right here. And we better get on the move, my friends. We've got a short little hike across the bridge, and then we head up the Emerald Pools Trail to a point up there where we just jump right off the trail and head up a mountaineering route, which leads us to the summit of Lady Mountain. Let's go. That right there, that's where we're going, straight up. There's a little route, kind of comes up this, and you zigzag back over and then back in and right to the top. Now we're going to look up, starting to see what we're heading toward. We're going to head up this little slot right here, get up into the area above this level of sandstone, then we'll cut out to the south and then right back up. This is about two and a quarter miles, maybe even 2.5 up. It's pretty much straight up though. So it's good to bring plenty of water on this one because you're going to be moving up, 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 and there is no doubt about that. So Park Junkie's up, up, up model is legit here on Lady Mountain. That's to say the least. Yeah, that's the route. Got these nice little Moki steps chopped in for us here. As you can see, that's the way you get up this thing. Now you can tell old handrails here, like chains like they have on Angel's Landing. That's what these were. Yeah, so as you can see, the route gets significant exposure real quick. I mean, we're like 100 feet up right now off of what we just scaled right here, coming up this rock face. Had some Moki steps chopped in down here, which were done by the Park Service back in probably the 1940s, 1930s. I'm not sure when this trail was put in, but you can see that they had this place bolted up once so that you could have chains, much like you have on Angel's Landing. There were some ladders in some of these sections. They removed all that back in the 60s for some reason, but it's still here. The route's perfect. It's definitely exposed though. As you can see, it's no joke. And if you think Angel's Landing's sketchy, you're not gonna want anything to do with this. So be aware. Don't try this one if you're not comfortable with extreme exposure in a lot of areas like this. And this isn't even extreme. It gets a lot worse on ahead. All right, at this point, there's a little arrow over there, you'll see. You gotta be paying attention to these arrows. We're going straight up this mess. Here we are at the little climbing section, the chimney as we call it. All right, friends, well, we've made it about probably 500 feet above the canyon floor below, maybe 600 or so. We have come to the first move of real significance here on the route, and that's going up this chimney right here. It is an exposed move, probably a 5.5 climbing move in the Yosemite Decimal System. Looking down, you can see it's pretty exposed. You definitely don't want to blow it up in here and go for a ride. This is a move right here that I would rope anyone up for that is not extremely comfortable with this sort of thing. The move, like I said, 5.5, probably not even that, probably maybe 5.4. It's not that bad. It's a little overhung. Let me step down here, see if I can show you how that looks from this angle. There you go. That's where we're going. You can see it's overhung. There's a little roof here. You have to kind of pop out over it and up. So there is a little danger in that. If you were to blow it in that while you're overhung, you're definitely going down, and you're probably going down into this rock ledge below right here, and then you'll bounce out because there's no way that's stopping you. You're going into that brush below. You're gonna definitely bang yourself up on that one, and death could be a possibility. Extremely broken appendages. You know, it's definitely not what you want to do. There is a hanger up in there. Left, an old bolt left back in there from long ago. The lead climber would go up, tie the rope into that, or at least run it through and string it back down to climber below and belay them up over this little area here. Today I'm running it solo. I'm not going to use a rope. I'm just going to go for it. But I've done this route probably 50 times before, so I'm comfortable with this. But if you're not, like I said before, if you're not comfortable with Angel's Landing, there's no way you're going to be comfortable with this route. And you should definitely, if you're thinking about coming up here, have someone that has some significant outdoor experience with climbing and moving a route finding in this sort of environment, because things could get serious up here real fast. All right, there's the move right there. You can see kind of a sketchy section, a lot of rock down there. That's for sure. This is a little chimney, and right here an old anchor. When I come up with somebody and I need a rope, this is what I do. We just anchor through this, run a belay line down and belay them on up. And we're popping up onto the next level here as we move higher on Lady Mountain here above the Zion Canyon Lodge below. Oh boy, look out there. And on up we go. Still got a long way to go. All right, arrows like this is what you'll be following a lot of the way up here. They're old. These things were painted on the wall. I don't know when they were painted. It was back, I first did this route in the year 2000, so about 22 years ago. And these things were here then, so they're definitely old paint. There are some orange dots up here in places too, but they've worn off a lot since they were put in about 10, 15 years ago. These yellow ones have remained, and that's pretty much what you'll be following all the way up. It's how you make your way from one level to the next. These little arrows show you every important angle that you're going to take, any turns up to the side, because you're basically just zigzagging your way up this mountain the entire way. This right here, your road map, my friends. Whoo-wee, we popped out into a little amphitheater here. Just look at this world behind me. Lady Mountain Summit right there. That's where we're headed. We're probably about halfway up. Not even quite halfway. We're probably about 40% away up the mountain. All right, we're gonna make our way right across this little amphitheater. We're gonna pop into these trees right there. And we're gonna kind of skirt right up this thing right there, pop up to the summit ridge and then over. This is the summit. This is a sub peak right here. It's quite a ways below, a few hundred feet. Well, the crowds are light up here today. I haven't really passed anyone on the trail so far. Spectacular day out here, another sunny day. We've had rains over the past week or so here in Zion, but today, mostly cloudy skies. There are some threatening clouds out in the distance. Now, this is not an area where you're going to have to worry about flash floods, obviously, but you must understand that inclement weather could cause you a problem up here. This rock could become slick after rain, especially in some of the steeper sections. So you want to be obviously keeping your weather in mind. You want to be bringing plenty of fluids on this hike because it is hot up here, especially during those times of the year when the temperatures reach triple digits. This is not a hike I'd be doing during any time in the summer. Today, we're looking at about 80 degrees, so it's pretty mellow for Zion. I gotta just kind of pick my way across here. Trail not really all that well marked through here in these vegetated areas. You just kind of gotta follow the footpath, and you'll see there is a path here. This is a tough one to do route finding wise, really. It's not that easy to pick your way up this thing. The route up the face of this mountain is not really, see footprints right there, and we just had rains the last couple of days, so somebody may be up here today. With the permit system shutting down Angel's Landing, areas like this getting a little more travel. So, you might find that you're not the only person out here when you're doing this route. But, if the park's going to institute these restrictions on other routes that are popular that people want to do, it's just a matter of time before routes like this are going to pick up people. And what are you going to do if you're coming to Zion and you can't get on the route, the most famous route in the park, because they've implemented this reservation system through a corporate entity? What are you going to do? Well, you're going to be looking for alternatives. This is a perfect alternative. It's far more aggressive than Angel's Landing back there. So you got to be aware of that when you're coming up here. This is, as I've said, and I cannot stress it enough, this is a sketchy route. No doubt. I've brought a lot of people up here over the years, and a lot of those people backed out. They consider it far too sketchy. And I understand, the exposure, just in areas that like we just came across, if you slip out, On that, you're going down 60 feet, and that ain't gonna be cool. There's no chains, there's no route, really. I mean, the route's here, but you know, if somebody's not an experienced outdoorsman or woman, you're really not gonna have a great time with Lady Mountain, that's for sure. It's gonna be a long, hard day. But I mean, the view, you really can't get much better than Zion for a view like this. And Lady Mountain's gonna give you all that you can handle in the view department, that's for sure. Here we're tucking through a nice tight little corridor in the bushes. Oh yeah, see, I've been up here a number of times and I still find the trail somewhat confusing at points. Here's our next little move that requires some finesse. You got about 15 feet there of exposed chimney work. There are little slab ledges on this, but they're really not much for footing or not much at all for handholds. You can see this is where a ladder used to be installed back when there was a Park Service trail here. But now you're just kind of on your own to scurry up this rock here. All right, so at the top of this move, someone has installed a little anchor and a bolt here, a little bolt anchor, so you can rappel back down this section if you need, which is probably a wise move, but it doesn't really help you on the way up. Somebody's gonna have to climb to this point anyway to belay the next climber up, and then on your way down, everybody can use this and just pull your rope. But for the lead climber, there's really not much protection there available on that little section. Not difficult, but it is sort of off with. It's sort of nasty. Not really a comfortable move, that's for sure. There, the summit looming before us. We're making progress. We'll just continue up this little goat trail. All right, with those moves right there, we've made our way up onto this upper level. We're just basically gonna shoot right up this ramp. We'll get up into a few zigzags that puts us right up on the summit ridge where we just pop over and access the summit block real quick like. We've been moving upward on the rock for about 1 hour and 15 minutes. Not bad timing, so we're looking pretty good. It's about 1:15 right now. We'll get to the summit and we'll get back out of here in a jiffy. Don't you worry, my friends. As you can see, our sub peak right here, Angel's Landing out here. We are about the same elevation as Angel's Landing right now. A little stairway here, if you will. It is an exposed stairway, but it leads straight to heaven, just like Led Zeppelin told us it would. You can't buy this stairway though, not without some hard work. All right, the summit right before us, looking out. Zion Canyon right there. This one out there, you can see Angel's Landing's that little peak right there. Observation point right above it. Great White Throne. Oh man, the great arch over here. The Zion Canyon Lodge. Looking out on Deer Trap Mountain right there. Over here, the Temple of the Sun. Behind it, the Twin Brothers. Oh man, what a spectacular world here in Zion Canyon. Just look at that, huh? And now on to the summit. As you can see, the arrows not always obvious here in this little zone. Oh, prickly things all over the place. Yeah, the trail somewhat fraught with danger in the form of scrub oak and yucca bushes, a lot of manzanita, little plants that'll definitely scratch you and let you know you're in their terrain. But overall, you can still get through, but you're definitely gonna leave this trail with a few scrapes and scratches, maybe leave a little blood on the wall even. We're getting close, my friends. I can smell it. Ooh, all right. We are coming onto the summit ridge. And as we look out to Zion Canyon, we see the summit right over there. That, the summit of Lady Mountain. All we got to do, cruise out this ridge line and straight to the summit block. Let's go. We are moving across the block, looking down into Jacob Canyon behind us here. Look at that deep thing. Ooh. That comes out over to Court of the Patriarchs. Court of the Patriarchs, excuse me. Moving back around. Right there, Zion Canyon. And right there, the summit. That's where we're going. Right there, the yellow arrow. Some sketchy exposure up here on the last few steps as we move upward. Yep. Oh yeah. There it is, the summit, Lady Mountain. Got a little placard here that shows the surrounding scenery. Yeah, Great White Throne, 6744, Deer Trap, East Temple, West Temple, the highest right here, almost 7,800 feet, 7,795, Observation Point, Mount Majestic, North, and Castle Dome. Right down there. That's the Zion Lodge, my friends, right below us by about, probably about 2,500 feet below. I actually don't know. Right there, East Temple, Deer Trap Mountain, Great White Throne, looking up into Echo Canyon, the east side, Zion Ponderosa Ranch out there. To the north, can't really see much here because that is actually technically the summit of Lady Mountain right there. Back behind us, that is the west rim over in that direction. As we move out here, we'll get into the zone of the Court of the Patriarchs right out here. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob Canyon running out that way. Looking to the south towards Springdale, you'll see Zion Butte way out there in the distance to the right. And then you'll be able to make out Johnson Mountain, the Watchman Bridge Mountain, and the East Temple right there. So a little bit of geography, a little terrain. This right down here, Mount Spry, the Zion Mount Carmel Road running up that way to just to the south of the East Temple, the tunnel, and out toward the east entrance of the park. You can see right back in there. Over in that way, Kanab and the whole desert areas over there to the east of the park. Spectacular scenery on the summit of Lady Mountain. And then again, right down here, you'll have to take note that that is Angel's Landing. Wonder how many people were up there today with the permits. Bet not many. Look at this old guy right here. Wow. Think of the storms that thing's weathered up here atop the Zion Canyon. It's enjoyed a nice view over its life, that's for sure, and it's still hanging on. The scenery up here just stellar. You're looking down on Heaps Canyon right here. Behunan Canyon is this big giant canyon back here. That was the first slot canyon I ever ran here in the park back in the day. Oh man, what a cool place this is. And fantastic views everywhere you look. I mean, it's just stunning. The course of history here in this sandstone canyon, about 10 to 15 million years of erosion here since this place was uplifted. Now, of course, Zion Canyon sits in an area, well, Zion National Park sits on an area kind of at the edge of what is known as the Colorado Plateau. That's an area that stretches all the way from Colorado right over here to where it drops off down into the Mojave Desert and to the Great Basin off to the northwest. Well, this is the edge of that Colorado Plateau, essentially. You got down to the Grand Canyon to the south. That's still part of it. And this area was uplifted some 10 to 15 million years ago. A lot of compressed sandstone here, sedimentary rock layers that have been compressed over eons of time. And they were uplifted some 10 to 15 million years ago. And of course, being sand, water running across it, flash floods hitting and running through this area rapidly have eroded this land in an instant in geologic speak. 10 to 15 million years sounds like a lot to us when we live 75 years or whatever. And indeed, 10 to 15 million years is a long time to us. However, in geologic speak, it's the blink of an eye. So this place has been carved out rapidly. Grand Canyon, Bryce, Capitol Reef, over to Canyonlands, Arches, all of that good stuff has been eroded extremely quickly in the aspect of looking at it through the geologic history. All right, friends, well, we are out of here. We are moving down the mountain. We will be back down to the canyon floor. Probably about an hour to get down. Took us about 3 hours to get up. That's doing all the little filming stuff and talking and rambling again, you know what I mean? But, ooh, a little sketchy move there. Almost banged my head on that one. You gotta watch out for those things. They'll get you. But I avoided that one. Whew. All right, down we go. All right, looking down on Zion Canyon right there, the Zion Lodge below. And as we move over here, you'll see that is Jacob Canyon right there, the west side. But this is what Zion is. It's just these thin ridge lines that have been carved from between canyons. Look at that, a canyon carved over there, Zion Canyon. And then, I mean, how thick is this? Like, not very thick at all, right? Before you get here to Jacob Canyon, you could see we're just standing on this rock ledge here on the ridge between two massive canyons. Zion has places like this all through it. Jacob Canyon, Zion Canyon, ridge line. Let's roll. Down we go. So on our way down, we want to make sure we don't miss our arrow. That's it. And we'll go down right here. Yeah, the exposure significant all the way here. You definitely don't want to twist an ankle or something in here or bust a knee, or you definitely don't want to fall. That's for sure. Now this is an area I've seen someone take a slide before right here. Trying to go high and slid out here. This could be a sketchy area. You can hurt yourself right here. This is directly below the summit, really, so be aware. It does get a little sketchy here, but I prefer just make a move like this. There's a little bush here. Don't really count on these bushes. You don't want to hang on to them because bushes have a right to live as well. But you can see right there, your footing not bad. Yeah, this is how it is the whole way, pretty much. Just step, step. It's a real Stairmaster. So I must point out that route finding up here as you're going down can be sketchy as well. I just missed this little corridor right here. And once you miss it, you end up in a sort of a cliffed out situation down there, and you got to keep your eye out for this little corridor on the way down. There's a lot of these little switchbacks through this scrub oak up here, especially in this top, probably 25% of the route is through this heavily vegetated area. And it could get difficult to find your route through here, so you'll definitely want to keep that in mind as you're moving down. Otherwise, you can end up cliffed out, and that can take a substantial amount of time to figure out where you made your mistake. Right down into this little canyon here. Yeah, look at that. That's the way we want to go. That's right, Park Junkie. The way we want to go. This one will take a toll on the knees as you descend. There's no doubt about that. I don't know that trekking poles would help you up here though, because there's so many times you're gonna be using your hand on walls like this to help yourself in your descent. I mean, I'm constantly using my hand to brace myself as I move down. Steep section. This is really dicey when the weather's bad. You can always throw a rope through this little anchor right there. But I've been up here when there was snow in this, and this section right here is absolutely sketch city, because you can see you can just slide out in here. But you can stem off, you know. It is a fairly safe descent if you can just stem yourself from side to side and brace yourself as you go down. There are good holds all throughout the route right here. Back to this crux move. That means we're making pretty good time. We got to descend this baby. Let's see. How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to basically stem out into this, kind of offlet it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to stem out. You can see how that cups out a little bit over here. We're going to try to get our feet into that. We can use these little holds for our hands. We're going to get down into this crack, but it's kind of difficult in that You really have to get into the crack to kind of protect yourself for a minute here. There's a little ledge right there for the foot, a placement for the hand right here where I can kind of press in on that. And that's going to give me the ability to sort of stem out here. And you can see that I'm just letting myself down slowly. Foot's going to go to that point right here. And then I'm going to put a hand here. And I'm pretty well stuck here for as long as I want, really, but we don't need to spend much time here. We're just going to step down. Again, a hand, and just slide down just like that. Back to the chimney. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lots of little ledges for the feet in here. Be aware that plenty of little spots for the hands, feet, rope anchor, and down we go. All right. Back to the crux move of the route. You can see substantial exposure. We're basically just gonna, I've got a place here for my hand, which is nice and solid. That's good. Then I got this spot out here. I'm gonna basically just sit down on this rock, throw a foot into that jam right there. And then I can lay the hand out here, right like that. This foot here. And you can see what's below me down there. And I'm just gonna kind of scooch myself out against the wall. And then that leg goes down to this point of contact right there. Still got my hand in this hold. But then from here, I basically just work my way. I'm gonna take the other foot down actually to that. And then at this point, I want this left hand, and I'm gonna move my right hand over here, grab this. If you're doing this route and you see this rock here, I don't trust it. I can get it to move, and it looks like it has a fracture back in here. Could break off. This is not something you want to be yarding on with that exposure below you. So this hand here, foot goes down to that point, another foot to that point. It's harder to do this with a phone in your hand. And then back into the crack. This hand will go here. I've got good traction all the way, but this is an area that if you have any sketchy feeling at all, you're gonna wanna be roped up on that for sure, because the exposure here is significant, and that exposure by itself can really freak people out. So yeah, there we go. Solid. And now I'm just gonna move out onto this and jump across rather than dealing with the exposure below. So here we go. We'll just step out here. I've got this foot. I'm going to push off. Oh, look, a scratch today. And we're going to jump to that point right there. So let's go. Boom. And just like that, that's our chimney move. All right, friends, right there, that's about the worst move on the route. In fact, I'd say that definitely is the most intimidating move on this entire route for anybody. And it is substantially exposed. there's no doubt if you blow it here, things aren't going to end well. So make sure if you come to this one, you're solid in your ability to make those moves. If not, you got no business in there. You don't want to get in there and have a panic attack or freak out or slip or anything. If anything goes wrong in there, it's not going to end well, most likely. So have a rope, have somebody with you that knows what they're doing with the rope. Be able to have a lead climber who can surpass that obstacle, move the rope up to the anchor that's in there and let them belay you up this spot, because if you blow it here, it ain't going to end well. All of that said, with this move, be substantially aware on the descent here on this route, because in mountaineering, in moving in terrain like this, most accidents occur on the descent. A lot of folks will get to the summit and then kind of consider it like a mission accomplished thing. And the mission is not accomplished at the summit. It's half accomplished. You still have to get down and get back into a civilization. You're not going to be able to just forget about the world up there and come down this thing foot loose and fancy free, so to speak. You need to be concentrating on these moves on the way down, and keep your head in the game, because the work is not done at that point. You still need to get down. The descent is mandatory. As Ed Viester says, the ascent is optional, but the descent is mandatory. You need to play the game safe on your way out of these environments, always. And keep in mind that something like 70 to 80% of mountaineering accidents occur on the descent. So keep your game tight when you're coming down out of the mountains. All right, with that, we're going to continue on out of here. Most of our hard work is done for the day, but as I just said, it's not all done. We still have a few hundred feet to move down, and it's still substantial exposure as we move outward here. All right, and here we are at the last crux moves. These are, this is steep. I mean, it's pretty steep right here. I like to turn around for this one, and there are Moki steps carved in the rocks here, but it's nevertheless a little bit hairy. There's no doubt about that. No, I'm not talking when Harry met Sally or anything like that either. All right, there's one step down. And got another one right here. Yep, 2 steps down. You got a little hold here, which is pretty solid. Let's go ahead and make it 3 steps, 4 steps, and then from here it's good. But it's steep right there. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. There we go. And now we can turn around and feel a little more comfortable. But let's look back up at that. Yeah, it's a steep little move right there. But back in the day, some handy trail builders chopped out those wonderful Moki steps. Those are called Moki steps. And here we're going to dash right down this, and that'll put us back on a little sketchy runway that goes back down to the Emerald Pools Trail. You can see here, this is our stairway down. Most of the time I'm using all 4s in this terrain because it is an area in which you don't want to fall. No doubt about that. But we'll make it down this thing relatively rapidly today. Getting back down into the zone of the civilized world, as I call it. Whoop. Now bounce down to this, turn around, hand here, drop, and then this little move right here is our last move. Hand here, foot here. Foot here. That's a little sketchy, but I'm just gonna drop off of this hand here to give myself a little, just like that. And a nice big cactus there to greet us. Back down here on the ground. That, Lady Mountain. Let's make moves. All right, friends, we are back down on the bike, headed out of the park, but I just wanted to stop and get a last look at Lady Mountain right there. That is where we went today. Spectacular. Up and down the summit. Unbelievable, my friends. Zion has a lot of options. Don't hesitate to get out there, but remember, this is a vertical world and it is super sketchy. Thanks for tuning in. As always, here on Park Junkie, check me out over at parkjunkie.com. That's your fix for national park info. You can get me over at Instagram, the Park Junkie, and Facebook, Park Junkie as well. Friends, I'm headed down into town. I got dinner reservations at my favorite restaurant, the Spotted Dog, so I'll catch you on down the trail. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.